You know, there's no such thing as bad weather, only bad clothing, and there is no such thing as new TAG Heuer that I'm not interested in. We've come to the manufacturer here in Le Chaux-de-Fonds in Switzerland. The weather's turned it on for us. We have a split-second Monaco, a Panda Glassbox Chronograph, we have a rose gold skipper, and we have some delicious new Carrera Dates. Let's go inside. I'm going to walk backwards. That's just going to open, or I'm going to hit it. I'm going to hit it. I'm going to hit it. Okay, let's start with a watch that's on my wrist with, through the magic of television, has changed to the rose gold skipper Carrera. Now, this was a smash hit for TAG Heuer last year, which was, I would have to say, expected to a point, but probably not to the degree that this watch was desired, which is why it suddenly appears again in precious metal. Now, the story of the skipper is that it references a model from 1968 with a regatta timer in one of the subdials. Now, this was a watch that's connected to yachting, and it was brought back sensitive to its original dimensions. They were a little larger at 39 millimeters, and it was in steel. Now, this year, we have it in delicious rose gold. And what immediately appeals to me about this new iteration, which is a much more elevated version of the skipper, and it really is a new way for this watch to express, is that combination of a sunray blue dial, these popping colors of teal, blue, and orange in the regatta subdial, and then this 18-karat rose gold. Now, all other dimensions on this watch remain the same as the original skipper. We have a 39 millimeter case. We have a very, very reasonable lug to lug of 46 millimeters, and we have a case height of 13.8 millimeters. The watch is powered by the Heuer O2 chronograph movement. And once again, we see this glass box model that has this curved flange that goes all the way to the extent of the case. And the rose gold carries through from the case and the pushers and the solid rose gold crown all the way through to the dial, where we have rose gold indices, we have a rose gold frame around both subdials, we have a rose gold frame around the date window at 6, and then we have gold colors for the indices of the running seconds at 6. Now, we have a fun fact about the orange tone here. Orange is actually the safety color in aviation because it is the highest contrast color with the blue of the sea, which is why this orange second hand on this blue sunray dial pops so hard. This has to be seen to be believed. Really a luscious execution of a watch that would probably never have imagined itself to be in rose gold, but now that it's here, makes sense to me. So we have another new expression of this Glassbox chronograph that was last seen in a really velvety midnight blue. Now, this new version references the 7753 SN from the late 60s, with the SN referring to silver noir, meaning silver and black. So a Panda has entered the building, and it's also the first Glassbox model on a bracelet. So if you've been holding out to buy a Glassbox on the basis that it didn't yet have a bracelet, you are out of excuses. So this is a high contrast version of the Glassbox chronograph that really harkens back to Jack Heuer's obsession with legibility. However, this Panda has had a big night because it has some red in its eyes. There are red hands on the subdial registers for the minute counter and 12-hour counter, and we have a red tip to the second hand. Now, what difference does red make to a dial like this? It makes an enormous difference. It really adds this racy, sporty vibe to it, and it does harken back to yet another classic chronograph in that 7753. One other interesting design detail to note is that this silver dial actually turns to black at the other side of the rail. So this is a fully curved, double-sided flange, and the outer flange for the tachometer scale underneath the curve of the crystal is black, which gives you this high contrast tachometer scale where you're seeing white text on a black background, which has the effect of slightly shrinking the dial as well. So if this watch at 39 mil and 13.8 millimeters thick has seemed too big for you on the wrist before, try this one because it looks slightly smaller thanks to that black outer scale. So let's talk about the new Carrera Date models, which are actually very special to TAG Heuer because they reference the original size of the Carrera from 1963. So while that's been more associated with the women's range in recent years, it's definitely interesting to consider that as watch size preferences go down, we're getting back to a point where this is the original size of the Carrera from 1963. Now, the watch I've chosen to focus on is one of 3 new Carrera Date models, and the reason this one stands out to me is because it has a diamond rail, which is just a really clever way to integrate a diamond bezel inside the glass and inside the watch itself. But it also, to me, slightly references the fact that the rail in TAG Glassbox models are also quite eye-catching and unique. So there are 76 diamonds in this model around the rail or the flange, and we also have 11 diamonds set as indexes on that really delicious milky mother of pearl dial. Solid rose gold crown, 2-tone rose gold and silver H-link bracelet. It's a watch that you could genuinely consider to be unisex, given the way that sizes are going these days. Okay, I have made you wait long enough. It is time for the Monaco Split-Seconds Chronograph. Now, the head of movements at TAG Heuer, Carol Casapi, noticed an advert from 1889 for a Heuer split-second stopwatch for the hand and not for the wrist. This started Carol thinking, what could be the next playground, the new place for this split seconds to play? The answer is this, the Monaco. So this is in fact the first mechanical wrist-worn split-seconds chronograph from TAG Heuer ever. But Carol did not want to just bring it back into the existing Monaco frame. Carol and the team here at TAG Heuer wanted this new split-second Monaco to adhere to an elevated standard of sport ergonomics. That means taking some of the classic Monaco case elements and refining them, reshaping them, making them more ergonomic for the wrist, and making them, to me, more sporty to the eye. I'm going to go through some of those changes now. So the first thing you'll notice is that the case has been reshaped. So that quite monolithic, blocky style of case has been shaved and reshaped to have a wider bevel along the case side and almost a double curve to the case, to the top case and the bottom case. You'll see also that the pushers have been reshaped. They've been enlarged for probably practicality and ergonomics. Then you have this red logo in the crown on the right side, as well as a pop of red on the left side, which is the pusher for the split second. Now the pop of red on the split second pusher and the fact that it's on the left-hand side references, of course, the original Monaco model, which was a left-handed crown model. Now the split seconds Monaco joins the Carrera Chrono Sprint as two watches that bring back the AG to the AG and TAG, the avant-garde. Now this is a very specific part of the world of complications that TAG Heuer wants to get back into and re-own, which is complications for sport. The Chrono Sprint, which we've covered here before, was a very novel complication, whereas the split seconds chronograph is known as the queen of chronograph complications because it has no less than 364 components. But TAG Heuer have taken that to another level in this watch by making many of those components, many of the plates, many of the bridges in titanium, which again makes this a mere 85 grams on the wrist, with the movement itself weighing just 30 grams. So in every way that TAG Heuer could make this comply with a sporting timepiece par excellence, they have done it. And that movement itself has also been designed to be shock resistant for sport, and that means making it a high beat movement. This is a 5 Hertz movement, but it still manages a power reserve of 65 hours. Titanium carries through to the butterfly folding clasp, which also has a very handy and easy to operate, probably 2mm extension. Okay, let's dig into this spectacular dial. We have a sapphire dial with the second track printed on it in high contrast red and white. And then we have these 2 arcs that work in the 30-minute counter and the 12-hour counter. And then also worked into the architecture is this running seconds at 6. All of these elements are in high contrast red, black, and white, and they pop on the wrist and they pop on this red fabric strap. Now what we see here straight away is this very sexy racing stripe that has been micro-painted, hand-painted on the oscillating mass. Now that has a gradient effect from black through to a lighter red, which is meant to reference the brake lights of a car. Now looking through that skeletonized rotor and through to the plates, we have a checkered, what I thought was a checkered flag style motif, which is in fact done by hand. This takes 30 hours for somebody at TAG Heuer to do, scratching in a certain direction to achieve one finish, and then in an alternative direction to achieve a checkered flag pattern. My favorite part of this watch, however, it is this 4 pieces of sapphire that comprise the front dial and the case back. The first piece of sapphire crystal is this square glass, the face of the watch. The second is the bezel. The third piece of crystal, this is fun, isn't it, is the dial. And last is this big chunk of sapphire crystal that is the case back, which looks almost like a camera lens. And then what that actually creates as an effect when we flip the watch over is not only a widescreen 4K view of your movement, but it also provides the oscillating mass a track, because there is this circular piece cut into the case back that forms a track for the oscillating mass. And you can also see magnified elements of the movement looking at it from the side. So there you have it. You can tell I waited till the end to get that watch to you because there is so much to say about it. Like with all watches, I think you should go and experience these watches if you can in the metal. Thanks for watching Time+Tide. If you like this video and you like coming behind the scenes with me to these beautiful places, these manufacturers, to speaking to the people that actually create these beautiful watches, you should subscribe and you should comment below. What do you think of the new direction for TAG Heuer? Tell me now.